Howdy YouTube, Esnix here with a little video for you. I'm going to look at my own Ezarcher alongside Arch Linux GUI. The project Arch Linux GUI has been around for a few years. It was started by a developer going by the name Demon Killer. His project was put on pause or inactive status, but it was picked up by another developer or another person going by the name of Xfusion ALG, I assume for Arch Linux GUI. So Xfusion would be the name. And it's a very similar type of Arch based system to my own in that it's a minimal configuration. Mine is not so minimal, not as minimal. And he provides various desktops, quite a bit more than I do. My project only supplies 5 different desktops. I believe Arch Linux GUI is up to, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different desktops, twice as many. However, the XP desktop is really just a highly themed cinnamon, and it looks pretty much like XP Classic used to look. I tested it. It's cute because it's XP, but otherwise it's not for me. Uh, if it's your thing, or if you want to give someone the look and feel of an old XP box, I guess it'll come close. There are, of course, some differences. Looks like they just released the Budgie and a Wayland desktop. Okay. Cutefish, I thought Cutefish as a project was inactive or dead, but I guess not. Maybe just very slow moving. It's a Qt based desktop made to look more like the Mac to my eyes at least. LXQt, of course, Cinnamon, Gnome, Plasma, Xfce, and Mate. So we're going to look at the LXQt edition. That's the one I had downloaded. I really had no desire for Cutefish, but LXQt is one that I do as well. So it was a good example to use. I could have used any of the other ones that I provide, but the LXQt desktop was recently respun on the 15th of August here, and mine was respun on the 11th of August, so very similar build dates. If we go over to my other screen, we can see I have both Arch Linux GUI LXQt and Ezarcher LXQt running. These are installed in VMs, fully updated as of a few minutes ago. So you can see they're very stock LXQt. I noticed some slight changes to the LXQt defaults on ALG's or Arch Linux GUI's version here. The font looks a little different, and the number of desktops is different. Otherwise, I think not a whole lot has been done to the theming. I don't do anything to the theming, and by default, we're getting one desktop and a slightly different font. Let's see if we can determine that. No, it could be the same font, just smaller. Okay, we're going to go through some of the differences in package selection because there really isn't much of a difference in look and feel. And hopefully we can get an idea of some of the choices made because we're really only getting a pretty stock Arch install in both instances. So let's go through this. Let's go through, take a look at what I put in accessories in Ezarcher. We have the Gnome disk utility, Featherpad as a default text editor, KeyPass Xc for managing passwords. Clipper is the clipboard tool. LXQt has its own file archiver. PCMan FM is the file manager. Software token, RSA Secure ID compatible software token tool, and Vim. Under ALG's accessories, we have the file archiver, the file manager, Spectacle screen capture utility, Vim, and gedit. Now, in both cases, in both ALG and Ezarcher, you'll notice that even though it's a Qt desktop, we do include some programs that are not Qt, that are Gnome, the Gnome toolkit, GTK. Thank you. I knew it would come to me. So gedit is a GTK editor. I believe it's the one that comes with Gnome desktop. Under graphics for ALG, we have image viewer, LXimage, so two image viewers and a screen grab. Screen grab is part of LXQt. I noticed they included Spectacle as well, so we have two screen capture utilities here. Let's go back over to Ezarcher. I included document scanner. LXimage comes with LXQt, same with screen grab. Under Internet, I include a few things here. The Avahi server browser, FileZilla for GUI for FTPing, Firefox, OpenSnitch, which is an application firewall, and QBitTorrent for BitTorrenting. Let's see what we have under Internet here in ALG. Avahi server browser, Firefox, and LFTP, which is, I believe, a console-based FTP client. That's standard on the Arch ISO, so I removed that because I figure I provide a GUI for FTPing. Under Office, we have a simple Adobe PDF viewer, XPDF. In Ezarcher, same thing. It's just a lightweight Qt-based Adobe PDF viewer. Programming includes CMake, Gnome, and Meld. Gnome and Meld are both GTK programs, but I like using them no matter which desktop I'm on. And then a bunch of Qt Designer stuff. So let's take a look at programming over on ALG. CMake is there, and the Qt stuff is there. Sound and video on ALG, we have Pulse Audio Volume Control, Qt v4L2 test utility and capture, Rhythmbox, which is a pretty full-featured GTK media player, music player, and management software, music management, VLC media player, classic media player. Under Ezarcher, we have Audacious for a simple music player. Gnome CD Master comes with, alongside, I believe, not CDR Kit, but it's similar. It's like a CDR writer program that's CDR DAO, I believe, for disk at once. I include K3B for a full GUI disk mastering package. Pulse Audio Volume, of course, Qt v4L2 stuff. I chose SM Player instead of VLC as a basic media player. SM Player's backend is MPV, so that comes along as well. And GUVC View for webcam usage. So a little more filled out here with what I like to use. Under System Tools, Ezarcher, we have Discover for basically for looking up packages. And as I believe you can do to see what updates are available. I would not use it to install or update the system, but I do like having it there. Gparted and grsync, two GTK programs. Gparted for managing partitions. Grsync is a front end to rsync. Hardware ISO topo. HTOP I include. I do have cups and the whole printing backend set up, so manage printing. Networking tools from the Gnome packages. OpenSnitch appears yet again. QTerminal is a terminal built into LXQt. UXterm and Xterm come along with a full Xorg install, and my own EasyMaint tool. Now, EasyMaint will launch it just so you can see what it is. It's a little menu-based collection of maintenance tasks. Running a system update, resetting all Pacman keys, regenerate mirror list, clean package cache, clean up journal space, clean user cache on next boot, and then enable Bluetooth Firewall D or OpenSnitch D. So we'll exit that. Let's take a look here at System Tools. Did we look at? Yeah, we looked at that. Okay, System Tools under ALG. QTerminal, System Monitor. Okay, looks like the Gnome System Monitor. Okay. I don't think Qt has its own system monitor. Hardware locality IS topo and Avahi. Okay. Under Preferences, LXQt Preferences, Advanced Network, OpenBox. Okay, so they're using OpenBox as the window manager underneath LXQt. I chose to go with Kwin, and Kwin brings in a number of things that are less than useful on LXQt, but I liked keeping with a more current and maintained window manager in Kwin. OpenBox hasn't seen active development in years. So LXQt settings, of course, so the same. Network config, firewall for Firewall D. As long as you enable it first, the service, then you can use this program to manage it. KDE system settings comes along with Kwin. Same with Qt5 settings, I believe. Print settings, since I have printer support, and screensaver. So that breaks down the package differences. You get a much lighter, less cluttered installation with ALG. The ISO size also speaks to that. The ISO size for ALG LXQt edition is about 1.4 gigs. The ISO size for Ezarcher LXQt is about 2.3 gigs. So, but you saw I include quite a bit more software. Let's see, anything else? One difference that I put in, and this is only because the purpose I have for this system is to allow me or anyone else to figure out how it's made and either build it yourself or customize it and build it yourself. I include a documentation folder on my systems. In my documentation folder are some text files, tell you how my EasyMaint program works, how to get started with Arch ISO, how to include a grub update hook in Pacman, how to include a pack cache cleaning hook in Pacman, how to install Virt Manager if you want a virtualization without going to VirtualBox. There are a number of steps in Arch that make it a little more complicated, so I put that help file in there. a general README file, and how to set up a reflector Pacman hook. If we open up the README file, you get a brief description of the project, what's in the folders, a little more description of building the project and the templates, what the purpose of the templates are, a little preview of what the Ezarcher maintenance script does, and that's about it, and then a link back to my project page. You have some old scripts and old install guides that I no longer maintain. We have the package builds for all 4 packages that do not come out of the Arch repositories. Trizin is an AUR helper, OpenSwap, and CKB comp are little packages that go along with Calamares, and Calamares, the installer. A general description of the packages, and how to build them. And in each folder, the settings I use for Calamares, the dependencies, and the PKG build file I use. And you get the same thing, PKG build file, and the contents for OpenSwap, and then Trizin the PKG build file. Reling configs are previous Reling config directories from the last 2 releases and a more seminal release in 64. Now these are really as references. Now the most current Reling release is the highest numbered folder here. And the contents of the Reling plus the contents of a build template will get you the ISO. Now, in order to use my build templates, just pick the one you want, copy it to the home folder, and extract it here. And now you have everything you need to build the LXQt ISO. And you can read through all these files. The boot files, what I put in the etc folder, how I modify the grub config. The opt folder has my repo with the 4 packages, so you have all of that. The syslinux boot files, what I put in the USR folder, the packages list, my pacman.conf file, the profile.sh file used by MK Arch ISO, and my build script called steps.sh. So you can look through all of these and see what they do. As I said, the point for me putting my project out is to give people the quick and easy ability to build their own if they wish. Or you can use it just as is. If you like it, that's great. Just use it. Install it, keep it updated, and you have a perfectly usable Arch system. Same with ALG. If you install ALG and update it, you have a perfectly usable Arch system. Slightly different package selection, quite a few fewer packages, so you have less bloat, as it were. Now, to me, what I consider bloat is stuff that I don't use. When I look at my menu, I don't see bloat because I use everything in this menu to do something. So to me, they're all necessary. If I installed ALG, there'd be a number of things I'd change, package selection-wise, because I like my own package selection. There'll also be a number of things I change with the setup, and let's get into that. So let's open a terminal, and let's do a quick ls-blk. And we can do the same thing under Ezarcher. ls BLK. And okay, under Ezarcher, I set up my EFI system partition mounted under /EFI. It is 1 gig in size. That is very much higher than it needs to be. However, the reason I chose 1 gig is because if you as the user wish to ever play around with alternative boot managers, such as systemd boot, you will be happy to have that 1 gig of space because systemd boot will put all of the kernel images in your EFI folder. If you look at ALG's EFI folder, partition is mounted at boot EFI, which is also a very valid choice. However, the size is 100 megabytes. Now that is perfect if you have 1 kernel, maybe 2 kernels, and you're not intending on experimenting with alternative boot managers. Should be sufficient. If you're playing with a lot of kernels, maybe not so much. So my trade-off in wasting, say, 900 megabytes of space is that I don't see 900 megabytes of space as extravagant or even scratching at what you might need realistically to get by. If you are running your disk with 900 megabytes of free space, you know what? Most Linux systems will barf at that. So 1 gig, yeah, you might see it as wasted because most of it's unused. However, you get a little bit of flexibility there, or a lot of flexibility, at very little cost. And big deal, 1 gigabyte these days. Even if you have a 256 gig SSD, an older SSD or a small SSD, I'm sure 1 gig for a boot partition or an EFI partition is not going to kill you. The rest of the setup is the same. We break down our BTRFS system the same way, and I included swap in both installs. Now, if we look at, say, cat etc fs tab, we can see in ALG we have options, BTRFS options, defaults. Oh, I'm sorry. BTRFS is type options. Yep. Defaults down the line. And swap gets no wait time and defaults. If we look at the same file, cat etc fs tab, whoops, excuse me there, just let's do this again. Okay. What I do is I include a few more options. No wait time on all partitions, no discard on all partitions, and no auto defrag on all partitions. The reason I do that is no wait time limits the number of writes because you're not updating a file or an inode every time it's accessed. No discard. I don't like discard async enabled by default because I don't want the drive being told to run a trim command on every transaction. I don't think it's necessary. I think it bogs down the drive and relies on the drive firmware to run the trim command, and it might not be the best idea for the health of the drive in the long term. That's a lot more writes. I much prefer setting up fs trim timer as a systemd unit, as a systemd timer to run, and weekly it'll go through and run a trim command. That to me, for a desktop system, is the way it should work. So I don't want discard running automatically. No auto defrag, same principle. I don't want the drive being told to auto defrag itself when it's not necessary. If you're running BTRFS, occasionally run a defrag. It's not that big of a deal. That's about it. So those little differences in how I set up my FS tab and my EFI system partition mount and size is enough for me to choose my own construction rather than someone else's. I'm not saying ALG makes the wrong decisions, just different from how I like my system to be set up. And that's the whole point of Arch spins and Arch-based distros and Arch itself. You have the choice. Go into your choice knowing what you're picking, or at least be prepared to learn, and then adapt if necessary. If you like my setup, use my setup. If you like ALG's setup, use ALG's setup. You're going to get really nice systems regardless of which one you choose. So that sums up my little look and comparison of ALG to Ezarcher. Now, you may find something you like better. A lot of people like EndeavourOS. Some people like Manjaro. Some people like, well, Manjaro is a different beast. Manjaro I wouldn't call an Arch spin. It's an Arch-inspired distribution. But pick whichever one you like. Pick a few of them, use them, and decide between them. That's fine too. Just don't keep going back and forth, because if you do that, you're never really going to get comfortable with anything. Best thing to do is to try a few, limited trial in VirtualBox. That's fine. Virtual hardware, virtual installs will give you a great approximation of how it's going to behave, and also allow you to look at the setups and the choices being made by the developers of the system. If you agree with those choices, or you even understand them, and yeah, you get what I'm saying. Experiment, play around, then pick something, stick with it for a while and learn it. You'll be better off. If you're get into building your own, I think you'll find Ezarcher to be a great starting point, because all the documentation and all the files necessary are in every ISO. Now, if that's not a thing, and you like choices made by other developers, by all means, go with something else. That's fine. You'll get a slightly more trimmed system with ALG, one that's fairly close to defaults, or very close to defaults, which is what I appreciate. So for my money, ALG is doing a great service here. They're giving users the ability to install a very default, clean Arch installation, minimal opinions, minimal tweaking, and you got a good system. I try to do the same thing, I just provide a little more software and all the build files to study and recreate your own project if you wish. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll include the links to the ALG page on SourceForge. My links are always in the description of my videos. Have fun, stay safe, take care. You'll see me in another one, folks. Bye-bye.